He's had enough and is willing to quit. Colonel Westnedge.
Father Dunnigan gave us a short sermon this afternoon. We expect to go into the lines tonight. The boys all have a faraway look. But I'm all set. I feel fine. Charles Bennett, bugler.
They were assembled at Colonel Westnedge's orders, and I spoke to them of their own immortal souls, halted as we were on the edge of eternity, and they understood. Father Patrick Dunnigan, chaplain, 126th Infantry.
I cannot say that I felt any anxiety whatever as to the outcome of the first battle of the 32nd Division. The 3rd Division had made several attempts to take the position and each time had to withdraw. It was too exhausted after its heavy fighting to make another great effort. But our fresh troops went forward as at drill, and never for a moment did I think that they would do anything else. Never for a moment did it occur to me that they might fail in this first attempt. General Hahn.
I dreamed I was back home, just ready to sit down to the table. It was summer, and at noon. Mother and Father were there laughing over something, having a good time and all. Gee, but it seemed real. Rain leaking through my tent onto my face finally woke me up. Just then they hollered, "Fall in!" Charles Bennett, bugler.
I always thought that when we went over the top, we would shake. But all the boys had a smile, and all you could hear them say was, "Let's go," and "Give 'em hell." Private Leo Hayward.
Was I scared? Hell yes. Any man who attempts to deny that he is scared is either a liar or should have his head examined. Captain Robert L. Wright.
When we first went over the top in the second Battle of the Marne, Colonel Joe showed us the stuff he was made of. He was not one of those officers who stayed in the dugout and sent runners to give orders. He was on a job himself, everywhere, regardless of the danger. Sergeant Willis C. Judson.
On the other side of the river lay a long open slope, then a countryside dotted with woods, hills, farms, and small villages, all heavily fortified. The 126th Infantry crossed the Ourcq under heavy fire and fought their way into the village of Cierges at the base of 2 large hills.
The enemy had placed a large Red Cross flag in the steeple of the church in Cierges, indicating the location of a first aid station. And as the line approached the town, it was discovered that enemy snipers were located in the church steeple and causing many casualties to our troops. The snipers were soon brought to account when our troops entered the town, no quarter being asked and none given. Captain Ganser.
The troops hid in shell holes during the night, and the next morning were ordered to renew the attack against the hills and surrounding woods. For the next 3 days, the 126th was engaged in a terrific battle for control of the high ground.
We went over the hill in 2 waves. A shrapnel burst near me going up the hill and knocked my gun out of my hands. The men next to me were knocked down. Our runner was hit in the arm and shell-shocked. The rest of us all went on and hid on the other side of the hill. I lay with a dead Yank on each side of me. The shells, as we form our lines, are cutting them all to hell. I saw a good many men blowed to pieces. I passed a shell hole with a leg and a foot near it. The body was a little farther away. Charles Bennett, bugler.
Never a bunch up. Those that bunched up got killed.
This shell lit, and this piece of the shell, and it landed right, well, it was mucky there. And what I did, I should have known, but I didn't know. That was, I put it on there, and I picked it up, and I burnt these 2 fingers, and they were sore for a long time. I shouldn't have done that, but I've still got that piece of shrapnel. It's a piece that long, and about the little larger than my middle finger, and jagged. If I had ever got hit with that, I wouldn't be here today. But my time wasn't come up yet. That's the way I figured. No, that if I'd been standing up where that shell would have probably got me in here, maybe in my head, I wouldn't be here today.
We encountered strong machine gun fire, but this didn't stop the advance, and the first line soon came to grips with the enemy and forced him out with the bayonet. Captain Gonzer.
On this day, August 1st, the fighting was so fierce that nearly 1/5 of the regiment's personnel engaged in the battle were either killed or wounded.
No sooner was the enemy cleared out of the woods when he prepared for a counterattack and drenched the western portion of the woods with a terrific shell fire. After the shelling stopped, the enemy advanced in solid formation from 2 flanks. The contending forces were so close to each other that pistols and bayonets were used. Captain Gonzer.
Colonel Joe was with his boys all the way. In the din of the battle, the men could see him on the field. During the thick of it, the colonel was right with us. His clothes were torn almost to shreds. He even refused to take time to shave. No man in the outfit bore a heavier part in the work. Parents of the boys in his outfit will never know how much he should be appreciated. Lieutenant A.H. Fitzgerald.
The southern slope of the hill was covered with dead enemy bodies, and in some places they were so thick we had to pick our way through them in advancing toward the woods. Captain Gonzer.
The boys were hollering, and the Huns shooting flares. I saw Spike and Nick go down. The machine guns were playing on us. I don't see how I got through those bullets. Joe, King, Kleinfelter, and a lot more of my friends were killed. Charles Bennett, bugler.
Throughout the drive, the conduct of our beloved regimental commander, Colonel Joe, was an inspiration to us all. He shared all the hardships with the men and was always near the front line with little food and such rest as he could get by crouching in shell holes. Captain Gonzer.
He shared the privations and dangers of the enlisted men. When blankets were scarce, he slept cold. When food was difficult to get, he ate last and least. Chaplain Dunnigan.
Every man seems to rise up when the call comes and fill his position with credit to himself and to the organization. Colonel Westnedge.
Because of this drive, the French nicknamed the division Les Terribles, the Terrors.
It was just unheard of in the French people with our division, and to see what we accomplished, they didn't hardly believe it, and they'd never heard of anything such as it is, and that's why we got the nickname Les Terribles. It was just unbelievable. Wherever they put us through that, Bango.
Eventually, the Americans drew back to the edge of the woods, but they had captured the high ground and dug in position for the night.
We laid in a ditch with water.